Hi everyone, I'm Hannah and today I'm going to share everything I worked on during the month of May. May was definitely a busier month for me. I had quite a bit of travel and just life busyness going on, so I'm happy to be home and just chilling today. Just coming to you with a video talking about everything I worked on. Although it was busy, I still got quite a bit of knitting done. Although I didn't finish very much. I only have one finished object to talk about today and about 1 million works in progress. So with that, let's just jump right in and I'll show you my teeny tiny finished object, which is a pair of socks. They're looking a little rough right now because they have been worn, so they're a little like wrinkly, but these are the French Connection sock pattern by Summerly Knits. I believe you can buy this pattern individually, but I have her book, the Sock Project book, and that's what I made this out of. The only real change I made is I did an afterthought heel instead of a heel flap and gusset heel construction as instructed in the pattern. I'm like relatively new to socks and I just hadn't done an afterthought heel before, so I wanted to try it out. And yeah, I cast these off I think like the first half of May, so they've been done for some time. I've gotten some wear out of them. With the afterthought heel, you basically knit the entire body of the sock, including the toe, and then at the very end you go back and you add the heel, like you cut into your existing knitting to make the heel. So because this was stripes, I'll show you inside out a little bit. I was carrying so I didn't have like to cut the yarn a million times for every stripe. I was carrying my yarn down for whichever color I wasn't using. And so with that, I don't know if this like makes the most sense, but as I was knitting, I figured out, okay, well, like this block right here, like we're all cut into, so I won't carry the blue stripe yarn down. So I did cut the blue yarn here. So there was no, as you can see, no blue yarn carried here. So I kind of like planned my afterthought heel and basically went in and did it in that spot. All went pretty well with it. It was easier than I thought. It sounds a lot scarier than it is, like having to cut into your knitting. But the issue I ran into is then the foot of the sock was too long. But I had already put in the heel, so I was like, okay, I can either rip out the heel, somehow reattach these two sections, reattach it back together and then move it down, or I can just, oh my gosh, this is so hard to explain. The other option would be to go to the toe, rip back some and then just like re-knit the toe. Or the third option, which is what I ended up going with, was to do a little bit of surgery, because I have not done any like knitwear surgery, technical term, yet. So I thought that could be a good project to try it on. So basically what I did is I inserted a needle here and then inserted a needle further down, cut the yarn, disconnected them into two pieces, and then I Kitchener stitched them back up together. So I basically just removed like an inch or so, basically one of each stripe color I removed. So I don't think that was necessarily the most straightforward way to do it or the most efficient way to do it, but I had been wanting to try surgery on a knitwear item and this felt like an easy one to do. So that process went well. You can kind of see here the stitches look a little different. Ugh. You can kind of see here there's like it almost looks like a seam or something where I did it. It's not like perfect, but it's a sock. With all of that, they ended up being a little more complicated than just a basic stockinette sock. Overall, I'm happy with it. I'm glad I got to try out all those new techniques. I do think my thoughts on the afterthought heel, I like the look of it. I do think my heel flapping gusset socks might fit my actual heel better. The heel just seems small, which I feel like I could also just add more rows. I think in the book she explains how to make your heel like deeper in different ways, so maybe I'll try that in the future. I'm not like anti afterthought heel by any means, so this is definitely something I would do again. I started these in January and I just finished them in May, so I am not a quick sock knitter. It is definitely not like my priority project when I have other things going on, which I usually do, but I do want to continue learning more about socks. And yes, like I said, that is my literal only thing I finished this month. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 works in progress, which is a little ridiculous, but let's jump into that. The first work in progress, which is at this point about 95% done, I hope it will be done like within the week, is my Maggie vest. So this is a cardigan vest patterned by Petite Knit. It's starting to look a little bit more like, oh, it's folded up. I'm like literally in the middle of a button band right now, so it's all bunched up, but that's kind of what it's looking like. I have the entire body done. I finished off the bottom rib. I did both of the sleeve ribbing. I really like how this looks as well. And now, yeah, I just have to do, I'm working on one button band, do the other button band, and then the collar, and I will be done. So it really is very close to being done. This is Malabrigo Caprino in the colorway Natural, which is a merino cashmere blend I got on sale. And I definitely did not have enough of it, so I had to buy more. I bought some, I think late last month, and it did come in, and it is like, I can't tell the difference. So yay for not having to deal with yarn dye lot issues. I think, yeah, I was like, maybe I'll have to dye it or do something if the colors were looking differently, but I think because it's the natural colorway, I was hoping it was less likely to have an issue, and there aren't issues, so happy with that. I also said in my last video that that my size called for 5 balls of this yarn, or 5, it calls for Cardiff cashmere, I think, which I was just not gonna buy. So I did like the math of the yardage and meterage for this yarn instead, and it said I needed about 5 balls of it, and this is only my 3rd, and I still have this much left of the original, so I don't see an issue with finishing this sweater and probably even having a little leftover with just 3 balls instead of 5. So I don't know. Tell me if you've had that with, I feel like I've heard that with a handful of Petite Knit patterns where her yardage estimates are a lot more than you actually need. I don't know. I still need to figure out buttons, but I think I'm gonna go with something like pretty basic, like just like a brown tortoise button or something like that. So yeah, but I hope to have this done very soon. All right, I'm just gonna knock through my Petite Knit projects. I try not to do this, but I do have 3 Petite Knit projects on the go right now. 3 of my 6 works in progress are Petite Knit, which, I mean, she does make good stuff, but I do try to support smaller designers and try other people. Anyways, the next one is the cloud sweater, and I am finally repurposing my cloud yarn. I love how this looks. It looks so good on camera. So I've made good progress. I just started it this month. It is, you know, a thicker gauge. What are we using? 4.5mm needles, so that definitely helps. But yeah, here it is so far. I've done a good chunk of the body. I finished the collar. I've done 1 sleeve, which it looks short, but this yarn really grows, so hoping that happens and it ends up at the right length. Starting the 2nd sleeve, and then I will just see how much yarn I have left and keep going on the body a little bit. But yes, this is the Lang yarn cloud yarn in the colorway 8. I also got this on sale from that same yarn store that closed. I bought so much of their yarn on sale. So still working my way through it. And yeah, I used this yarn last year. I made the bulky, like the basic bulky drop shoulder sweater, something along those lines, by James and Watts with this yarn. But the gauge was just looking too loose for my liking on this. I didn't really love the fit. And yeah, just some of the finishings, I don't know. It just wasn't speaking to me. And I really love this yarn and wanted to use it for something that I would love. And so I just kind of hunted on Ravelry for people who use this yarn, and I came across this Ravelry post of someone who made the cloud sweater, and I was like, yep, that's exactly what I want. So yeah, it's been really fun. This yarn is so fun to work with because so many color changes, and I love just so many of the colors that are in the mix here. But yeah, modification wise, I am working the front and back panels flat rather than in the round. So for both of them, you know, you start at the back panel, you work to like underarm, and then you pick up on the front and do the same there, like work until you would go in the round for the underarms. But I kept them separate because with the self-striping yarn, it would have just made like really, really thin stripes, and it would have looked like there would have been like a drastic line of like working flat and then in the round because of how much farther the yarn has to travel for the stripes. So that's like making it a little bit more work because I am going back and forth rather than just stocking it in the round, but it's been fine. And then yeah, I've started to connect under the arms just so I could kind of see fit wise what it was looking like, and then I'll just keep seaming as I go, as I make more rows. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this. This yarn is, it's like single, what do you call it? I'm forgetting all of my yarn terms. Single, what am I trying to say? It's just one single ply. Oh my god. It is just a single ply. It is not like really twisted or anything. I think it just has like a netting cord on the inside, and then it's like, you know, I don't really know how it works, but my point is there's definitely some like thick and thin parts, and some people like don't love it for that. I haven't really minded working with it, but it is like just interesting, a different yarn type to work with. It is very light, so it feels like it weighs nothing. And what else do I have to say about this? Oh, size wise, I did size down one to what Petite Knit recommends for sizing, just so that it's not as oversized of a fit. It still will have positive ease on me, but it won't be quite as dramatic. And I think I got that idea from that same Ravelry post who used the cloud yarn, just so that I think it like works better for the stripes for it to be smaller too. So yeah, I think this one I hope to finish also in the month of June. Yeah, I think it could be a fun summer night sweater. So that is the cloud sweater with the cloud yarn. Next and last Petite Knit project that I'm working on is the cumulus top. This is a tank top pattern, pretty basic, and it looks a little funky, but you can kind of see the vision. It's like a V-neck on the front and the back, and then it's just stockinette in the round for the body, and then you'll do some I-cord details. But I started this while I was in Hawaii. I have a whole vlog that I just recently posted of everything I knit and read while I was in Hawaii for a week this month. And this was one of the projects I started there, so I talked a little bit more in depth about my process with this one. This is yarn I got somewhat recently from a local yarn store to me. It is the Pichinku Tawa. I think it's sport fingering in between kind of yarn. It is a wool and silk blend, mostly wool with a little bit of silk in it. But it feels pretty lightweight and I think, you know, pretty summery color in my opinion too. So I was hoping to use it for a tank top this summer or something along those lines. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, it's very easy. This is kind of like my mindless project right now because I'm just going around and around and around. I do really like the feel of this yarn. It feels like not too warm of a wool, which is good for the summer. I think the silk probably helps with that. Yeah, not much to say. It's been pretty smooth sailing. I haven't run into any issues. I'm following exactly to pattern. Pretty kind of boring project, but I think it'll be a good staple. All right, while we're on the topic of my Hawaii trip, the other project I brought with me for that week was my Stella quilt blanket. So I had the goal of finishing another Stella quilt square on this trip. I got pretty close. So these are squares, so it's supposed to be 4x4, 16 total, and I got to 12. This one, I am really loving this color palette. I don't know, I feel like everyone is my favorite when I'm working on it, so I don't really want to pick favorites, but I am liking this one. This is my third square for this blanket. My goal is to make 12 of them. I have lots of colors left to get through. And yeah, it is made with fingering weight held double or DK, but I am using fingering weight held double. My main color here is Cascade Heritage in the color Macadamia, and then I'm mostly using sock yarn held double that I got in a advent calendar last year from Fangirl Fibers is majority of my colors, and then supplemented with some random sock yarns and things that I had in stash to fill in the gaps of where I was missing a couple colors. So yeah, these are definitely a little bit of a pain with weaving in ends, but I've been doing them as I go, and I have made a rule for myself that I have to deal with this before I can ever start a new square. So that's kind of how I'm managing. And yeah, my original thought was 12 squares, 1 per month, have a blanket by the end of 2025. It's May. This is my third square and it's not done. So I don't think that will, I'm already off track. I don't think I will catch up. I don't know. I do, every time I work on these, I really enjoy it. It's just, little bite-sized pieces with these squares. You're changing colors a lot. It's worked on the diagonal, so you're doing increases and decreases, but it's easy enough to memorize. I don't know. It's just the right mix of enough going on without it being too complicated. Color changes make it interesting. So I really enjoy it, but it is, I don't know if it's just because I can't use it or do anything with it really until I have 12 of them. And I just know it's gonna take a while, that I'm just meh. I don't want to work on it when I could work on a sweater that I can have done and be wearing in less than a month, So it is just more of a longer term project that I think my brain is I should probably work on this to be better about maybe patience and practice long-term projects, I guess. But anyways, I'm still really liking it, and I know I will do it all eventually. It just isn't happening at the pace I thought it would, which is fine. But yes, I will, finish this square, weave in the ends, and then keep going. One baby project. I don't even know if you consider this a whip. I did about 5 minutes of a sock. I'm not super following a pattern, but I wanted to start a rib sock. There it is. It's just a 2x2 rib sock. I just wanted to have another sock on the needles. I think I'm gonna keep going full rib and do the whole sock and rib. I have no idea what kind of heel I'm gonna do. I'm like kind of sort of looking at a couple different patterns from my sock project book and like piecing things together to make a pattern, kind of, sort of. I don't really know. Clearly I haven't gotten very far, but I did want to mention I did start another sock. This is the same blue sock yarn I used as the stripe color in these socks, which is Cascade Heritage in Sky Blue. And I don't know if I'm gonna add more colors or just keep them all the same. I don't know. I have, for someone who's not knit many socks, I have a decent stock yarn stash with a lot of colors, and I get like serious decision paralysis when it comes to picking colors for socks. Like, I'm like, is this so boring because I'm only making them one solid color, but also like the socks I wear that are store-bought on day-to-day are almost all solid colors. I don't know, I feel like I need to make them like cool enough and like do the right color combos, but like then I want plain socks too. I just like can't. My mind goes about a million different ways when I look at my sock yarn stash. So I don't know. I've also just been like asking my boyfriend to pick the sock color, or like just picking them out at random, because it's, I don't know, I need a system that like helps me pick sock colors, because it's really overwhelming for some reason, and it's not that serious. So yeah, let me know if you also have sock color paralysis. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. If this is anything like my last sock, I won't finish it for another 4 months, so you'll hear about these again and again. But that is a baby little cast on I did. And then my last whip, which I don't think I worked on this at all this month, but I did just want to mention it and also remind myself to work on this. This is my Hackett jacket that I am working from some old stash yarn, and I'm pretty certain I didn't pick this up at all during the month of May, and I should get back to it because this is a very summery yellow color. This pattern has a bunch of options to hack your sweater or cardigan to do like all sorts of different textures, cables, stripes, all sorts of options. And so I'm gonna do it solid color. I'm gonna do this like I-cord detail option, and I'm gonna make it short sleeve. So that is the vision. I am using Barocco Modern Cotton and Drops Kids Silk, which I talked about last month. Weird combo, I know, cotton and mohair. This was a decision I made a few years ago before I really knew too much about yarn composition and yarn combos and all of that, and I tried to make a sweater that flopped, but I had already held them together. I frogged it and did not feel like separating out the mohair from the cotton, so now I have too many of these balls of it already held together, so I'm just using it, and I hope that it ends up something at least somewhat wearable. As you can tell, I might not sound the most excited about this project. I kind of forgot about it a little bit, but I do think it'll be fun. I'm curious about how it ends up wearing. I haven't used either of these yarns before, so I don't know. I'm still curious about it. I still also am interested in a short sleeve cardigan in general, and I think it would be fun to have one that I made. So I do want to keep going. Maybe I just need to like not have 6 projects going on at one time so I can like focus on things better. Let's hope that June includes a little bit more knitting on this one. That's all of my works in progress. I have a lot going on. Acquisitions wise, I did not buy yarn this month. Yay. I am trying to work my stash down a little bit. I really don't have a need to buy yarn. I have lots of yarn. And yeah, I didn't buy anything, so that feels good. The only crafty purchase I made in the month of May was some fabric for sewing. I do want to do a little bit more sewing. I've done a handful of projects. I have a hand-me-down sewing machine from my boyfriend's mom. I've made a couple little sewing projects here and there, most notably, and the one I use the most is the Bestie bag pattern. I use this as like an everyday casual purse and really love it. I have the Lane Pants pattern by Sydney Graham. I've already cut fabric for a pair of these, so I just need to sew them. And I also have like a skirt that's halfway done that I'd like to finish. I don't know, I just want some like flowy pants and skirts for the summer. That sounds fun. And I have some fabric in stash, but I wasn't like, I should use some of it. I don't know, I just wasn't thrilled about what I have. So Matchy Sewing Company was having a Memorial Day sale, and so I bought a couple more things. So I'll put a picture of my haul because I don't have it with me yet, but I would love to make another Bestie bag with this more like hardy fabric. I just used like random fabric I had in stash for the one I have right now, and it's kind of like pilling and like not looking great with wear. So I'd love to have a second one of those in a different color, and I want to make maybe a skirt, or I think I want to make a skirt with the blue poplin fabric and maybe another pair of Lane Pants or something. I don't know. That is definitely a goal for June, which speaking of, I do have a list of my June goals. I'm gonna say them here to hold myself a little bit accountable and also just see if this is realistic or not. But one of my goals is to sew 2 items. So definitely the pants, that the fabric I already have cut out. I just need to do the sewing. So at least 2 items this month sewn would be awesome. And then knitting wise, I do want to work down this WIP pile and not have so many things in progress. I'd love to finish the Maggie vest. That is like 95% of the way there, like I said, so I want to get that done. Probably the cloud sweater too, that's pretty far along, and then maybe one other project, I'm not sure which, but I just want to have less on the needles. I want to clean up my pottery studio, so I don't know that I've talked about it on YouTube yet, but I do have a home pottery studio. I used to be a lot more into pottery. I still do love it and want to continue doing it, but I have not used my pottery studio in months. And I have a mess down there. Just like, it's just kind of overwhelming because I know like some of my clay's gotten gross. I don't know, I just need to like do some maintenance work on things, and then I think that might motivate me to make more things again. But I think just doing like a cleanup day in the pottery studio could really benefit me to actually using it. Other crafty things are to start spinning. I think I showed this fiber I got a few months ago, last month or the month before. Put a picture, I got like this rainbow tweedy and this other similar color but no tweed in it. I want to spin these 2 and ply them together and then make like a tweedy cardigan similar, or maybe even the Lakes cardigan, or I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on the pattern. But I want to start that project. I haven't done any spinning, or I didn't do any spinning in the month of May, so I'd like to start something in June. And then I do want to, I'm like behind, but I do want to start gardening in June. Probably just buy some starters because too late for seeds probably, but we do just have 2 like small raised garden beds, enough for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 things to grow. So I want to do that. We're behind because we were out of town and stuff this month. And then I want to do some closet clean out, but I do feel like I need a little bit of a clothes refresh, and I think that can also help inform what I want to sew and knit if I have a better idea of like my wardrobe. I feel like I clean out my closet like fairly regularly, but I still always feel like there's always work to do. Yeah, so those are my goals for June. I feel like that was a little bit of a chaotic segment, but maybe not. But I'm just saying them out loud so that I have a little accountability, and I'll be curious to see what I get to. But yeah, I think with that, that is everything for the month of May. You can follow me on Instagram if you want more like real-time updates. And with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.